Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? I am doing great. Thank you. It's a Sunday, right? So chilling. Happy to get back to the markets after a weekend like that. Just a long weekend. You guys know how it is. We're also eager to get back on track, get back to work. At least I am. Hopefully, you guys are as well. Give me a little confirmation that you guys can see my screen at the moment while I adjust some settings. Awesome. All right. So, if we start the week, and yes, I did not have that prepared actually, so I'm going to take a second and bring over the news for the week, right? I used to share those on Saturdays, but I noticed that it was a waste of time, right? We don't need them up until we're going over and looking at the outlook. I should just be able to paste this. Awesome. So, if we look at the upcoming week, you'll notice that on Monday and Tuesday, we don't have any news coming up, especially with where we are in price, which we'll visit in a second here. I am disinterested in what we can see happen on Monday and Tuesday. So, if you guys have any memory of what we usually do on those weeks, we'll be hosting a midweek analysis. And yes, it's in only 2 days, but after seeing Monday's and Tuesday's price action, I can provide a more accurate outlook into what's going on. So, right after this call is complete, I'll post the event and I'll make a little announcement just to let the people who weren't here know. But we'll be hosting a midweek analysis on Tuesday night when we have more insight in price. So, whenever we have weeks like these, our Sunday outlook is more so about looking at the possible outcomes. So, I'm not trying to make a prediction. I'm just analyzing price, seeing where we are, what could we see, and considering the possibility of higher prices and considering the possibility of lower prices. And once we see Monday and Tuesday form the beginning of the month of the weekly range and the beginning of the weekly profile, then we can get in some more insight. But talking specifically about weekly profile, we do expect some sort of Wednesday reversal, or sometimes, as we see on these weeks, especially at a key level in price where we have currently formed SMT, we could see a classic bi-week retracement, a classic move higher, right? We'll dive into price in a second. But as for the news, we have three trading days: Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all starting at 9:30, 9:45 for Wednesday. So looking at 10 a.m. power of three for Wednesday for sure. But anyways, as I just said, we're gonna dive deeper into that once we get into the midweek analysis, right? So today will be a quick one. And if you have any questions, the time will be today to answer any of those questions based on price, right? I do want to start on a higher month, start on a monthly, because you can always tell where the candle is currently moving towards, right? And what I mean by that is when you're looking at a monthly candle, right, it takes a long time to form, right? You have a whole month, it says it in the name, right? So whenever you see some specific patterns, like for example, a flip of the monthly open, which is this dotted line right here, while you don't on the other, which in my mind, ES just has to catch up. I do expect lower prices, a continuation lower, and consolidation at the beginning of the week. If you guys want my insight, that's what I see right now. Well, again, we'll have to wait for the for Mondays and Tuesdays trading before we can dive deeper. But whenever you see price expand off open, so we had a quick open low, very quick, formed with SMT. If I just put my cross so we can see, we had SMT at these level, comparing these swing lows on ES and on NQ. So you had open low into SMT. We were at a key point in price, right? We're looking at a daily chart right now, daily fair value gap, but I believe we had a weekly, we had weekly levels here where we just dove back into a weekly fair value gap, and on ES failed to reach that weekly fair value gap. So definitely we had clean delivery in the beginning of July is what I've been trying to say for the last minute, right? Clean delivery, but we had open to expansion. Whenever you have open to expansion, as we explained in last week's outlook, this is where you can anticipate a big retracement, especially when you see the previous week fail to close past the previous week's extreme, right? So we've seen that the week before we failed to close above previous weekly high on Nasdaq, which gave you indication, of course, with divergence, as ES had no issue, and then SMT at previous week's high for the beginning of this week, expansion lower. I do anticipate some form of retracement. Now, I don't anticipate we're going to be using weekly levels. We did just form a weekly breaker block, but as I said, I don't come to any conclusions off of those. What I will be expecting is ES to catch back up to NASDAQ. Now, since we aren't trading early during the week, we'll be able to see if this forms SMT or not. For the possibility of higher time frame, well, not higher time frame, higher prices, I would need to see ES respect this SMT, right? And that is all the way up to Wednesday, right? Including Wednesday's news. So if I want to see higher prices, I definitely don't want to see it dive lower. If not, if it does dive lower, I do anticipate some form of retracement into the range, right? As we always say, we look for premium and discount, and in this case, our first premium and efficiency, and we'll be looking to take shorts at this level, right? For now, all I am concentrating on is waiting for ES to catch up to NQ. Will it catch up to NQ? That is where we have no clue, right? You can't predict that aspect in price. You have to wait for confirmations to align so that you can make a high probability prediction on the markets. But for now, I will be looking for ES to hold this SMT if I am to take longs. But the main idea I'm looking for is just a continuation lower, right? We have multiple liquidity targets along the way, right? A retracement into a range. And whenever I expect retracements like these, I like to refer to a higher time frame range. And right now, this is our latest expansion range from, right? We have a clear pattern of AMD, right? Accumulation, manipulation lower. This was IPDA 40 lows back at the time, and then expansion higher. We had a very clean weekly movement, which led to a bunch of opportunities coming from April, right? But now I do anticipate lower prices into this range. If we look at a weekly chart, the clearest objective would be this order block. First thing. So let me just mark this out as a plus order block, bullish order block on my weekly time frame. This is a clear objective for me. I want to see price expand lower, and now we're looking at a weekly chart. I'm looking at the 2 to 3 next candles, right? If we dive into a daily chart, we have clear objectives along the way as well. What I did want to bring you guys' attention on is one very specific thing, which I talked about I believe I can say months ago now. I've been doing these calls and YouTube for a little bit now. If ever you want, just head over to my YouTube and you'll see in one of the titles and in one of the thumbnails, which are usually all the same, there's a little plus IPDA look back ranges sauce. Well, if you look at that video, you'll notice how I talked about long-term high probability objectives. Now, whenever you have SMT at a key higher time frame level and point in time, meaning the beginning of a month, right? We were looking at the first 2 weeks of July. I can use my look back ranges because I anticipate a change in character. I anticipate a change in trend, right? I was looking for lower prices now after being bullish for so long. Now I want a retracement, but I need to find which objectives will be those retracement. And as I've always said with this, whenever at the extremes of those look back ranges, where we look at the last 20, 40, and 60 days, you will always find SMT at those extremes, and those are extremely high probability objective, right? So if you look at the extreme of the IPDA 20 range, well, you'll notice that was the low formed in July, right? Our current low of month on ES, which we just broke on NASDAQ. Very high probability objectives. This is all something I shared with you a while ago, but I don't brand it like a new theory. I don't share it and do some crazy marketing on it, which is why not a lot of people took notice of it. But I'm telling you guys that are here currently, the people who are going to watch this again on YouTube, this is something you need to study. It is something extremely simple that works every single time. These are high probability objectives that will form low resistance liquidity runs towards these objectives. Now, just took out some very big objective. I want to see ES catch up. Once that happens, I can anticipate some sort of retracement into our range. Now that we've flipped the monthly open, I kind of want to see respect of that level. So I want to see the algorithm tell me that, hey, we are extremely bearish. We want to get away from that level. So just like when you have a new week opening gap, you can see two things from it, right? You can see expansion towards or expansion away. I want to see expansion away from our monthly level. I don't want to see us consolidate at this level, because then if we see consolidation near this level, I'm going to expect a lower rate to then continue higher. This is just through experience. I know what I want to see long term, and this is what I'm going to be looking for. But the best possible outcome, possibly some sort of retracement, retesting that level once would be fine. Possibly even digging back into this fair value gap, but not higher. I'm not going to be looking for higher at all. And then a continuation lower. And of course, long-term targets. We have a bunch of nice objectives, but the truth is you want to see this for retest of the IPDA 60 range, our latest expansion. So you want to see us dig into discount of this range. Now we could respect this order block. I'm talking about a weekly order block, right? At this level, we're seeing this one. We could respect it. We could not. Too far to tell, right? So again, I just want to specify, whenever we have weeks like these, I like to do a midweek analysis, which is why we'll be going into more detail once we get there. But this, if you guys want a little insight into what we'll be talking there, it depends on if we see Monday and Tuesday being consolidation or expansion. If I see expansion in one direction, I'm going to associate that with manipulation and then look for SMT on a higher time frame coming with Wednesday's news, and then trade in the opposite direction, because I understand that SMT formed at key levels at key times, like day of week, will be extremely much higher probability. This is actually the next thread that I'm trying to build, having a little issues with the script that I'm making for that specific thread, but I want to talk about weekly profiles and how you can define them before they happen, right? So just a little insight into the future here, but definitely if I'm looking for higher, I'm going to want this SMT to hold. And no, I'm not talking about this one that I have marked out, just a new one. We could form a swing point on NASDAQ while ES just remains here. ES retests the monthly open before continuing higher. So if I'm going to be looking for higher, this is what I want to see. For lower, there are multiple different outcomes that will be going more in depth on the midweek analysis for Tuesday's night. Do we have any questions related to what we just shared, what we just talked about? I'm seeing Justin type. I don't know if that's a mistake or if you have questions. I'm going to give it a sec. All right. Still expect reversal if we consolidate early. Yes, anytime we have consolidation, right? This is something you can definitely notice from my live trading. If you want to go check, just go on my YouTube. There's a playlist specific on my channel, live trading. I believe I have 2 videos on there, maybe 3. But whenever I was doing some live trading, there was a lot of consolidation. So it just turns out that those days we had some big consolidation, especially the more recent one. And anytime I see consolidation, before doing anything, I want to see a raid. So if in context we consolidate the first 2 days, and then I see that Wednesday's daily power of 3 up to now, we've opened, we have midnight open lower, kind of like imagine this candle, right? Then I want to see price continue and form a raid, so then I can continue and trade. But if we raid the low of this consolidation, then I'm going to trade the retracement into our latest expansion range. So my bias is still bearish, but I am going to look for longs, because now that we've consolidated and raided the lows, I'm expecting us to go target the highs of this consolidation. And if I bring that in context, then it means that I would be looking for a retracement into our range before continuation lower, right? Or possibly a reversal at this point and continuation higher, which I will only know once we show signs of invalidating this PD array. Right, so just to give you a little context, yes, I will still expect a reversal if we consolidate early, but I will not expect a higher time frame reversal, just short-term raid on consolidation. Thank you, Bulletproof. Appreciate that. It's always nice to see other traders and when they align with your analysis, right? It just gives you more insight and more not bulletproof, sorry, bottom frag. I'm always forgetting because I know another guy who has the same profile pic as you. It's crazy. So it's all based on sweeping a side to target the other. Yes and no, Justin, because any single pattern you will trade in these markets won't work unless you provide context. That is my personal opinion. Now, there are a bunch of purely mechanical patterns that I've coded into bots and that sometimes work, sometimes don't. And if you're able to manage them correctly, you can be profitable with. Okay, so I'm not saying the opposite. I'm just saying that, in my personal opinion, if you do not provide context, nothing works. Meaning that you can't say sweeping a side of consolidation and targeting the other, because that won't work at least 50% of the time, right? I'm thinking I have the idea of a market maker model in mind right now, and we're going to leave that consolidation very aggressively because it will be associated with redistribution or reaccumulation. Meaning it's not every time we consolidate. It's when I bring it in context. So in context of weekly development and understanding that the weekly power of three, the weekly profile, alongside the news, where I expect the end of the week to be way more volatile than the beginning of the week, then I'm going to look for Monday and Tuesday to consolidate, then Wednesday to form the manipulation of the week, and then continue expansion into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Or the only other possible outcome in my mind is that we see a classic week. So we see Monday or Tuesday form some sort of manipulation that will continue, and then Wednesday will be retracement into a range, forming SMT, then continuation. So those are what I'm looking for, but we'll have way more detail once we see what Monday and Tuesday does, and that will be on Tuesday night on our midweek analysis, which I will announce and post right after this call. Does that answer your question, Justin? Awesome. Awesome. Do we have any other questions before we close this call, guys? All good. All right. Well, you all have a great start of your week. We'll talk again in 2 days, just on Tuesday night. You guys should definitely not miss those. Ask Jordan, those are his favorite. So we'll see each other on Tuesday. You guys have a great week. Good luck trading if you're trading early in the week. As for myself, I'll see you all Tuesday night. Have a good one, guys.